Have you ever found yourself trapped in a conversation that feels like it's going nowhere, your mind racing for an escape route, but your mouth frozen in a polite smile? Maybe you're at a friend's birthday party, clutching your drink, nodding along as someone drones on about a topic you have zero interest in. Or you're in a group project at school, and a classmate keeps oversharing personal stories while you silently beg for the bell to ring. Your heart pounds, your palms get sweaty, and you start to wonder, is there any way out of this without looking like a jerk? If you're an introvert or someone who gets anxious in social situations, these moments can feel like torture. You want to be kind, but you also want to protect your own energy and time. The fear of coming off as rude or hurting someone's feelings can keep you stuck, nodding and smiling long after you've mentally checked out. But what if there was a way to gracefully exit any awkward conversation, without guilt, without drama, and without burning bridges? Stick around, because you're about to learn exactly how. Most people think the only problem with awkward conversations is that they're, well, awkward. But if you look closer, there's a hidden layer that makes these moments especially tough for introverts and anyone who struggles with social anxiety. It's not just about boredom or discomfort. It's about the silent pressure to be endlessly polite, to put everyone else's comfort above your own, and to avoid any risk of being labeled rude. We're taught that ending a conversation is almost like breaking an unspoken social contract, and that belief can leave you feeling trapped, exhausted, and even resentful. Here's the real contrast. While society often praises people who are endlessly accommodating, the truth is that healthy boundaries are essential, not just for your own well-being, but for genuine, respectful connections. Most advice out there tells you to just be honest or make an excuse, but that rarely feels natural or safe for someone who's already anxious. The real problem isn't the conversation itself. It's the fear of judgment and the lack of tools to exit gracefully. What if you could learn a way to end any conversation that feels authentic, kind, and empowering? That's exactly what we're about to explore. I'll never forget the time I found myself cornered at a college club fair, stuck in a conversation that seemed to stretch on forever. I was a freshman, still trying to find my place, and I'd just met someone who was incredibly enthusiastic about their club. So enthusiastic, in fact, that they launched into a 20-minute monologue about every single event they'd ever organized. I remember nodding, smiling, and desperately scanning the room for an escape, but every time I tried to interject, they'd just keep going. My heart was pounding, my face felt hot, and I could feel my energy draining with every passing second. What made it worse was the voice in my head telling me I had to be polite, that I couldn't just walk away or I'd seem rude. So I stayed, trapped by my own anxiety and fear of judgment. Afterward, I replayed the conversation over and over, beating myself up for not handling it better. Why couldn't I just say what I needed? Why did I always put other people's comfort before my own? That experience stuck with me, not just because it was uncomfortable, but because it made me realize how much power I was giving away in social situations. I knew there had to be a better way, a way to honor both my needs and the other person's feelings. That realization was the first step toward finding real practical solutions, and that's what I want to share with you next. So, how do you actually end an awkward conversation without feeling like the bad guy? Here's a step-by-step guide designed specifically for introverts and anyone who gets anxious in social situations. These techniques are gentle, authentic, and, most importantly, practical, even when your nerves are running high. The first step is internal. Remind yourself that it's okay to end a conversation. You're not responsible for carrying every interaction to its natural conclusion, and you're allowed to protect your own energy. This mindset shift is crucial. If you don't believe you have the right to leave, you'll always hesitate. When you sense the conversation has run its course, don't rush. Instead, let there be a natural pause. Smile, make eye contact, and take a gentle breath. This signals to the other person that a transition is coming, and it gives you a moment to gather your thoughts. Before you exit, acknowledge the other person. A simple, genuine compliment or thank you goes a long way. For example, I really enjoyed hearing about your project. Thanks for sharing your story with me. This shows respect and makes the other person feel seen, even if the conversation wasn't thrilling for you. You don't need to invent a dramatic excuse. A light, honest reason is enough. Here are some scripts you can use. I need to catch up with a friend before I go. I'm going to grab another drink. I have to check in with my group. If you're at work or school, I need to get back to my assignment, but it was great talking with you. The key is to keep it simple and not over-explain. Most people won't question a polite, straightforward reason. Your body language should match your words. As you give your reason, start to subtly shift your body away. Angle your feet toward your exit, gather your things, or take a small step back. Pair this with a friendly smile and relaxed posture. This nonverbal cue reinforces that the conversation is wrapping up. If you want to leave the door open for future interaction, add a parting gesture. Let's catch up again soon. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night. This softens the ending and reassures the other person that you're not rejecting them. You're just moving on for now. Like any skill, ending conversations gracefully gets easier with practice. Start small. Try these steps in low-stakes situations like chatting with a classmate or a coworker. Over time, you'll build confidence and the process will feel more natural. If you're in a group setting, you can also tag in someone else. For example, introduce the person you're talking to another friend or colleague. Oh, have you met Sarah? She's also interested in photography. This smoothly shifts the focus and gives you a natural exit. You're not being rude by setting boundaries. You're respecting both yourself and the other person by being clear and kind. Most people appreciate honesty and will take your cues if you deliver them with warmth. Now that you have a toolkit of practical techniques, you might be wondering, why do these methods work so well, especially for people who struggle with social anxiety? Let's dive into the psychology behind these strategies. The reason these techniques work so well comes down to a few key psychological principles. First, humans are wired to follow social scripts, unspoken rules that guide our interactions. When you use polite transitions, express appreciation, and give a clear reason for leaving, you're tapping into these scripts. This makes your exit feel natural and expected, rather than abrupt or awkward. Second, the principle of reciprocity is at play. When you acknowledge someone's time and share a positive gesture, it creates a sense of mutual respect. People are far less likely to feel slighted or offended when they sense you value the interaction, even as you step away. Nonverbal cues, like smiling, making eye contact, and shifting your body, also play a huge role. These signals help communicate your intentions without words, reducing confusion and anxiety for both you and the other person. For introverts and socially anxious people, these techniques lower the stakes. You're not forced to invent elaborate excuses or endure endless discomfort. Instead, you're using proven, gentle strategies that honor both your needs and the other person's feelings. But how do these methods play out in real life? Let's look at some real-world examples and case studies. Let's see how these techniques work in real life. Take Maya, a college student who used to dread campus mixers. At one event, she found herself stuck in a conversation with someone who wouldn't stop talking about their favorite TV show. Remembering the steps, Maya waited for a pause, smiled, and said, "Thanks for telling me about that show. I'll have to check it out. I'm going to grab some snacks, but it was great meeting you." She shifted her body toward the food table and walked away, feeling relieved and confident. The other person smiled back, and there were no hard feelings. Now, consider Alex, a young professional at his first office job. During a break, a coworker started venting about office politics. Alex listened politely, then used the gracious pause and said, "I appreciate you sharing that with me. I need to get back to my desk before my next meeting, but let's catch up again soon." He paired his words with a friendly nod and returned to his work. The coworker felt heard, and Alex protected his own boundaries. Of course, not every attempt goes perfectly. Next, let's talk about the common pitfalls people face and how to avoid them. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to end an awkward conversation is over-explaining. The more you justify your exit, the more awkward it can feel for both you and the other person. Another common pitfall is being too abrupt. Cutting someone off or turning away without any acknowledgement can come across as dismissive. Using insincere or exaggerated excuses, "I have to go feed my pet iguana," can also backfire, making you seem disingenuous. To avoid these traps, keep your exit simple, honest, and kind. Use a brief, genuine reason, pair it with positive body language, and always express appreciation. Remember, You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation. The goal is to respect both your own boundaries and the other person's feelings. With practice, these exits will feel more natural, and you'll start to feel more empowered in every social situation. Speaking of empowerment, let's talk about the mindset shift that makes all the difference. It's time to let go of the belief that ending a conversation is selfish or rude. Setting boundaries is actually a powerful act of self-respect, and it's something you absolutely deserve. When you honor your own needs, you're not only protecting your energy, but you're also modeling healthy communication for others. Remember, you have just as much right to comfort and ease in social situations as anyone else. Empower yourself to step away when you need to, knowing that it's possible to do so with kindness and authenticity. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, and the more confident you'll become in all your interactions. You're not alone in this journey, and every small step you take is a win. Now, let's talk about how you can connect with others who are on the same path. If you've ever struggled to end an awkward conversation, share your story or your favorite exit strategy in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on social skills and self-improvement. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.